Alright, here we go with some more Monoblock Devotion. That hand is a mulligan, though. This hand is not good either. We're on the draw. I'm going to keep it. Yuck. Okay, we'll bottom that. I mean, I'm keeping it because, you know, this is a non-land card. I guess that's what all we can say for it at this point. But we have a turn 1 interaction. We're on the draw, and we have the scry. So we get to see, you know, a fair amount of our deck there. And I say that. We get to see 2 cards before our first turn. We get to see 3 by our second turn. Dredgevine Amalgam, huh? See, this was a good... I say this was a good draw. Honestly, this may not be a good draw against a Dredgevine deck. Well, it's fortunate, actually, we can take this Neonate. Yeah, this hand's not great. So there's Amalgam. I guess we can make him discard an Archamiba with the next one. So he's playing... Oh, what a draw. Okay. I say that. He doesn't actually have any Dredgers in there, so... maybe it wasn't that bad. I guess we may as well take an Archamiba away. And next turn we'll Gatekeeper. Yeah, I mean, taking the Narcomoebas away at least forces... it makes it harder for him to trigger his Vengevines. And he doesn't have any Dredge cards. And he only has 1 counter Gems on mine right now. So, all in all, things could be worse here. Not that they're good, but they could be worse. I do like our sideboard here. We have a bunch of Surgicals and Blood Moons against them, but this game 1 could be kind of rough. He's 1 land away from Faithless Looting. Whenever you cast a spell. So this doesn't really work as well as you might want it to, because Prized Amalgams, even if you have 2 of them come back, they don't trigger it. Bloodghast doesn't trigger it. If you play a land, have a... if it's this... no, you actually have to cast 2 of them, so okay. This is fine for us. That's a nice draw. Alright, so let's go ahead and make him... oh, this is shaped up pretty well. We had a turn 1, turn 2 play, turn 3 play, turn 4 play, turn 5 play if we draw the land. So, however, he has found a Dredger, and therefore the beatings are going to begin. This is pretty good against him, though. That's for sure. So, let's see. He's actually choosing whether or not he wants to dredge here, I think is what's happening. And he did go for it. So, wow. Okay, he's got Gravecrawler. So this is actually Dredgevine, huh? It's been a minute. Been a minute since I've seen Dredgevine and not just Dredge. He drew his land anyway, so... okay, he's got the Gravecrawler, but he doesn't have another zombie in play yet. Narcomoeba is not a zombie, it's an illusion. Straight Wraith. I don't think his hand's that good. So we'll play out our Obliterator here. Guess we'll start the beatdowns for 2. This would be a nice one. 1, 2, 6, 8. Not a bad draw either. I mean, this Grey Merchant might just do work, because if we can get into a board saw with a Phyrexian Obliterator, then, you know, we can use this Grey Merchant to just drain him for 1,000,000. This card's so good. Silly card. For those who don't know, it's a throwback to Phyrexian Negator, which was a 3-mana, I think, 5/5, way back in the day in Magic, and it had the opposite of this, where if it took damage, you sacrifice so many permanents. As it turns out, he just decided he wasn't going to be able to beat this, which, you know what, I agree with. I came to that conclusion as well. We were going to eventually hit a land and Grey Merchant him for 1,000,000, but great. So Dredgevine, huh? Let's get some Surgicals in here. Some Grafdigger's Cages in here. What don't we need? I think this member is probably not great. The Kalitas is good. This is actually Hayden itself. And the arenas are fine. The Disfigure is not super good. Do we want Blood Moons? Just yeah, because his deck's a little different. He actually wants to cast Grave Crawlers, so Liliana Liliana seems extremely bad. Not often you board out Liliana, but this is the case to do it. So Brutality, I don't think we're going to hit much. Vandal Blast obviously doesn't do anything. Duress is probably too narrow, especially on the draw. I don't think we need another Gray Merchant. We actually need to cut a card here. It might just be the other arena, though I like having one. I like having a piece of spot removal. Maybe we don't need a hanger back. Yeah, this is not going to be a grindy matchup. This is going to be a matchup where we play, bombs in the matchup, those being Surgical, Grafdigger's Cage, Blood Moon, and then try to win with our creatures. It's not one where we need to extract that maximum value out of hanger back. I like our chances here. We're going to have to mulligan again, but all right, we'll keep this one. Not great, but it means got a 1, 2, and a 3. Surgical, of course, is just devastating against Dredge decks. When Dredge first came out, and obviously this is Dredgevine, which has been around for a long time, what he wants to do is get an Amalgam into play, cast 2 Grave Crawlers out of his graveyard, and trigger his Vengevine. So in some senses, his deck's a little more resilient because of that. I'm going to bottom this land. But when Dredge came back, people were all hyped on it being so good. It was going to break the format because it was just extremely dominant. Does this target a player? No, that's fine. He didn't have a land. Our opponent mulled to 4, had a ley line and no land. So, well, here's the land. Sure. Anyway, so everyone was scared of it, but everyone was playing Grafdigger's Cage, which didn't do anything. The Dredge deck, just by virtue of how it works, it has so many pieces. Oh, we can't make him sack a creature, so that's annoying. It has so many. In that case, we may as well cast this. All right, I'll finish my thought. It has so many ways to dig through its deck. It's Neonates, it's Faithless Lootings, all these different things that they can just dig until they're going to fill up their graveyard with all their creatures anyways. Eventually, they're just going to Nature's Claim or Abrupt Decay your cage, and all those creatures are going to come back. So it seemed unbeatable. Once people started playing Surgical Attractions and Ravenous Traps and Rest in Peace, all of a sudden you see Dredge fall off quite a bit. So, that's sort of where the deck stands and why it's nowhere near as dangerous and modern as people thought it was. And honestly, as dangerous as I thought it was, because to me, it was like Affinity, where it had an extremely high game 1 win percentage, but was weak to sideboard hate, which is true. Okay, so let's go ahead and Surgical this thing away. I actually can pay mana for this, can't I? That's fine. We'll save mana for this one along with the Go for the Throats. Alright, so he's got a Gravecrawler and a Narcomoeba in his hand. That's not very good. I gotta remember to click the one in their graveyard. Okay, now he can draw. And I thought it was more dangerous than Affinity because Dredge is so resilient to removal in a way that Affinity is not. And that's why I thought that Dredge had that same issue where it was weak to sideboard hate, but you could basically never win game 1 against it, whereas you could occasionally beat Affinity in game 1 because their creatures still died to lightning bolts and didn't come back. As it turns out, Dredge is just so much more weak to graveyard hate than Affinity is to artifact hate that it hasn't mattered. And as you can see there, that's one of those situations. Our opponent had the Leyline to stop the discard spells in our hand. He had the Insolent Neonate. He got the Dredger in his yard. He was ready to go off, in as much as he can go off even on that mulligan. But just one graveyard hate card can really shut him down before they get going. And he pulled the plug early there. So there you go.